What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Audible Football Podcast. The only podcast currently leading in every statistical measure, like looks, views. We're at about like 4 a week, and money made. The only people currently rivaling us right now are the New Heights podcast by the Kelsey brothers. One day, you'll make it big, boys. I believe in you. We got Michael Overley over here. How you doing?
Doing pretty well. Had 2 good weeks of football. Had one of my favorite Monday nights over the past week. So we'll get into that. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Ravens on top of the AFC right now. Got a game ahead of everybody. We're rolling. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, that a little surprising because, I wasn't sure how your receiving core was going to do this year, but you guys are moving the ball and you're taking over games and you're winning shootouts. You guys look like a really good team right now.
Yeah, I'm excited. Oh, gosh. I just found out, for those of y'all that don't know, I'm an acting student right now at Illinois State University, and I got cast in a show. Currently have a dress rehearsal the night of the Super Bowl.
No way.
And I told them, if the Ravens are in the Super Bowl, you better find an understudy. Because Daddy ain't missing that.
Oh my god.
Or I'm just going to have to go the entire night, put my phone down, have absolutely no one I'll turn it off. I don't care. I'll have it recording. I'll go home and enjoy it myself, but I can't have it spoiled. I'm nervous. So we'll hop into week 13 since we're a little far behind due to some life circumstances. But we're going to start with week 13, talk about what happened that week, and then we'll move on to week 14 and talk about this upcoming week 15. So week 13 started a bit of a banger with the Cowboys and Seahawks shootout. Looks like Dak might be on an MVP type track right now.
Yeah, he's definitely front runner for MVP. He's leading the league in touchdown passes. He's not turning the ball over too much. He's got 8 picks.
Yeah.
So, that's average around the league. He's playing really, really good football.
He is.
CeeDee Lamb's also having a great year. First NFL receiver to hit 10 receptions, 150 yards in 3 games.
Mm-hmm. He's top 3 receiver right now, I'd say.
Yeah, and they're doing it a lot without the running game, too.
Yeah.
So they look like a really, really put-together team. If they had a running game, if they would have kept Zeke, oh my God.
Yeah.
They'd be even crazier right now.
Honestly, I feel like right now, Tony Pollard's been such a big letdown for me because I was one of the people that took Tony Pollard top of the second round in fantasy drafts. Mm-hmm. Super excited because, look what he did when he had only half the load. Like, give him the full thing, he's going to pop off, right? No. Instead, he decides he's allergic to the end zone, and Rico Dowdle, it looks like Tony Pollard from 2 years ago. It looks like they're just cycling through. A washed running back up, is popping off for big plays. I don't know where that explosiveness went, but here we are. But, hey, they're winning games. They're 10-3. They're on top of the NFC East.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I drafted Pollard too, and it feels like he got his starting job, and he kind of took a step back.
Yeah.
Is
Some
it
guys
because
aren't workhorses.
Yeah, is it because he was fresher when Zeke was there?
Yeah.
I think that's a high possibility. That was a good game to watch. It was a shootout. Dallas's defense has some games where they're just seem not to be there, but
they haven't been the same since Trayvon Diggs went down.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
If they had him right now, it would be a problem.
Yeah.
But right now, they're still beatable. I feel like everyone in the league right now is beatable. Mm-hmm. It's a very watered-down league this year. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but there's not the juggernauts that you're like, you know what? They will go into any stadium and win, Mm-hmm. They're even the Ravens on top of the AFC, I get nervous. The next 4 games they're playing are all hard games, and I'm like, are we gonna drop 2 of these, The 49ers, they lost 3 in a row earlier this season. The Eagles just lost 2 in a row. The Chiefs, they lost to the Packers, and then they lost to the Bills. And no one's staying high above everyone else and saying, hey, we're dominant.
Right. If you look at Chicago, who looked absolutely terrible the first 8-10 weeks, is now technically in a position to sneak into the playoffs.
They could.
They have to have a lot of things happen. They have to have some teams lose out. They have to win out. But to even be in a sniff of any kind of playoff contention, on how they were playing, that just shows you how watered down you say the league is. I will give props, though, to Justin Fields. His past few games has been a steep improvement to what he has played. He's taking care of the football. He's got 3 consecutive games with no interceptions. He's not throwing a lot of touchdowns, but he's putting his team in position to score touchdowns. DJ Moore had one last week. Dante Foreman had one last week. We put 28 points against a good 9-3 Lions. I mean, I just hope he gets the respect that he deserves, because if you look at other quarterbacks across the league that were generational talent, like Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he's not living up to what he was drafted to be. I mean, his first year he had 12 passing touchdowns. Fields' first year he had 17. So I mean, I don't see the difference in arguments between those two right now, because they both have different skill sets, but they're both playmakers when they can be, or when they're playing their best football. So it's a crazy league right now. A lot of 7-6, 6-7 teams.
Yeah, the Bears specifically right now are they have options right now, which is a good thing, but also it is a bad thing, because if you make the wrong option, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. You know, and that's really going to come down to Ryan Poles.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets rid of Fields, he could lose the locker room. But if he keeps Fields, he could lose the fans. If he gets Caleb Williams, it's a generational talent.
You got to win.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
I think the best scenario for them, I wouldn't be mad if we kept Fields by any means. I think that he can or will be something in this league. But I think better situation for him is to move on. Better situation for us is to restart the QB clock. Just because I think even if Caleb Williams isn't generational like they say he is, I think he could be as productive as Fields is now.
Yeah.
And it sucks, yeah.
Well, when you also think about it, I mean, he's going to be cheaper than Fields, too. I mean,
by 20, 30 million in a couple of years.
Exactly. And when you guys already have, over 100 million in cap space coming in this year, yet again, for the second year in a row, would you rather build around someone that's a lot cheaper with more promise and maybe more variance, or would you want to keep Fields where you know what you got and you know what to do with it? So I guess it comes down to, like, do you stick with the devil you know or work with the devil you don't?
Yeah. Is what Ryan Poles needs to decide is the film that Caleb and the play that Caleb is putting in college, does he trust the staff that he picks, or if he keeps the staff that he has, does he trust him to get? Is he going to transition well to the NFL? Is your biggest concern? And if you have any doubt or concern about that, you technically still have 3 years on Fields, because you could franchise tag him twice.
Yeah.
And I mean, what generational talent's going to be in? There's another generational QB that's going to be here somewhere in 3 years.
Yeah.
I know Arch Manning's going to be in the draft in 2-3 years. You got Quinn Ewers next year, Shadur Sanders. I mean,
yeah, quarterbacks are there's so many nowadays.
I would say the Bears are in the toughest spot in the league, because they could either really fuck it up or really boom.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. I think in 3 years they could either be, if only they did this, or they could be at top of the league. You know, and that's an exciting spot to be in as a fan, though. You know, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. What kind of trade value do you think Justin Fields would have if you guys were to move on from Fields?
At least a conditional first.
Yeah.
I mean, if Sam Darnold can pull out a second, fourth, and a sixth, Fields should be able to pull out at least a conditional first paired with another pick or something.
Yeah.
Or another player.
I could see teams that are winning too much, but not enough. Like, teams that are winning too much to get one of those top 10 picks, to get the Caleb Williams, the Drake Mays, the all these really great quarterbacks that are coming out right now. but still need a quarterback, I feel like it could be a Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons could give up that first, maybe a second, to get Justin Fields. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows who else, you know?
Yeah.
Like I think the Falcons are the biggest option. Maybe Tampa?
Yeah. Oh, God, him on Tampa, that'd be insane. Falcons and the Giants are probably my two favorites because, I mean, they have to draft a quarterback or get somebody that is a playmaker. I mean, yeah, you could lean on Tommy DeVito. He's won 3 straight, which is insane. He's playing. But
I'm a Tommy DeVito stan.
But I'm picking Justin Fields over Tommy DeVito.
Oh, 100%.
And then because they're 5-8 and they're still winning games.
Yeah.
So those are my two favorite teams for him to go to. Because I think he'd have a really good coach in Brian Dable and who's with Atlanta.
What do you mean? Coach Arthur Smith, but I don't think he's going to last.
He's going to rotate, so they're
he's
going to
about to get fired. So they can pick whoever the hell they want.
Yeah. So if they get Fields, they'll pick a coach tailored to him. So I mean, Fields is going to be in a good situation in those two. That's where I'd like to see him go.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. With more Week 13 news, we had some amazing games in Week 13. But one of my favorites that I definitely want to talk about, of course, is going to be the return of elite Joe Flacco. It was his first game back. He played against the Rams, and while they did lose 36-19, that is the score does not tell the final story by any means. They were down by 1 point with about 3 minutes left. You know, unfortunately, Joe Flacco threw one killer interception in those last 2 minutes, and they immediately scored the next play. Something wild happened the very next play, and then all of a sudden there's like 2 touchdowns and a field goal that happened, and those the last few minutes, and it looks a lot different. But when you look at how he played, over 250 yards, he threw for 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He had them moving better than I think any Browns quarterback had them moving the entire year, and he even followed that up with 300 yards and 3 touchdowns the next week. You know, so this man, I believe he had 3 touchdowns both weeks actually. Or no, two touchdowns and then 3. But yeah, regardless, this man is putting up numbers for coming off of his couch when it hurts me because he's going to a division rival.
Yeah.
But
I really like what Joe Flacco's doing. He looked great. He's spreading the ball around. People are getting the ball that you didn't even hear of getting the ball on the Browns before. I don't even know who number 18 is.
I think his name was Miles.
Something. Whatever. Number 18. I mean, he had a couple good catches in that game last week.
Yep.
Njoku had 2 touchdowns, 90 yards.
That's a Joe Flacco staple. He's going to throw to his tight ends. All right? That's what he does. He made Dennis Pitta look like an all-pro.
Against a good Jaguars team. I mean, Trevor Lawrence himself had a decent game. I mean, against a good, solid Browns defense on a hobbled ankle. So, I mean, that was good. That was one of the best games of last week. And then, I mean, he did very well could have snuck out that one against the Rams in 13. So,
yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I love watching him play. It makes me happy just to know that, I would always be rooting and fighting for Joe Flacco. Everyone told me he sucked. And I was like, listen, you give this man the ball, he might throw a pick. But he's going to throw it 70 yards down the field. Yeah. And it might be something special. You know? No one has a prettier spiral than this man. I mean, he's got the talent. And he's on a very similar team that he had when he was on those great Ravens teams, you know? Good run game, stellar defense.
And as long as he won a Super Bowl with that.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't mess up, which he did just get an extension. Or not an extension, but he got an official contract for this year. It's up to $4.05 million. And I believe if he's getting $75,000 per game, right? Which isn't much. But if he gets to the playoffs, he gets, I believe, $250,000. And if he wins the first playoff game, he gets $500,000. And if he wins another game, he gets another $500,000. And I believe if he makes the Super Bowl, he gets $1 million. And if he wins, he gets $2 million.
Yeah, so that $4 million could easily turn into.
Well, that's the whole.
Oh, that's the whole
Yeah,
thing.
it all adds up to $4 million. Yeah, he's making almost nothing per game. He's got to make the playoffs, but I feel like he could make some noise in the playoffs.
Yeah, he could. Yeah,
I wouldn't want to play.
He's got experience.
I'm terrified of the Ravens playing Joe Flacco in the playoffs. I'm terrified.
Almost half the league has a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
So I mean, he could very well get in. He could very well win one, maybe two.
Well, all the teams that they're competing against, there's what 6 teams right now that are 7-6 in the AFC. They're all fighting for 2 playoff spots. The Browns have that final playoff spot, a game ahead of everyone at 8-5. But when you look at those teams that are fighting right now, we're looking at the Colts, backup quarterback. We're looking at the Texans right now, backup quarterback. Davis Mills is playing this week because C.J. Stroud is in concussion protocol. We got the Broncos, not a backup quarterback, but regardless.
Backup quarterback.
Backup quarterback.
Herbert's out for the season.
I believe they're 2 games behind, though. And then the Bengals, backup quarterback. The Steelers, Mitch Trubisky's in.
Love you, Mitch Trubisky. Lost to the Cardinals, lost to the Patriots. I'm not rooting against you, but that helps our draft pick for our own.
So when you look at, like, can the Browns do it? They can. I mean, they're playing the Bears this week. The Bears aren't exactly like a stellar team. I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what happens. But I hope the Browns make it, but I don't want to play them.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit.
I think it'll be a little Flacco down.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to be a closer game than we realize. We'll get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Joe Flacco, veteran status, veteran mind, gets the ball out quick. Definitely good for the Browns.
Mm-hmm. And then the last story I want to talk about for Week 13 is the Bengals going to Jacksonville and beating them in overtime with Jake Browning.
Fucking, not even that. It wasn't like your middle of the road 2024 game, 17-17. This was a 60 over.
Yeah.
34-31, that's insane. It was a freaking shootout.
It was a
Jake
shootout.
Browning was playing so well.
No, he absolutely carried the team on his back. He was making those throws. He was making some hard throws.
Mm-hmm.
I loved watching it. And I honestly, I didn't start watching it until about halftime because I was like, this looks like it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, I was
Jake Browning's
surprised.
looking legit. And when you look at, like, his pedigree of what he's coming from, you know, he was a baller in high school. Actually, the #1 quarterback that year in high school. And then he goes to college. He was a baller in college. The fact that if he wins a few games, say he takes the Bengals to the playoffs, he's going to be one of the best backups in the league and might command some trade value, which I could see, you know? Like, there's some teams that are willing to probably just go, hey, we'll give you a 4th for him, see what happens.
Yeah.
If he's on the Saints.
Especially those teams that don't have high draft picks, like you said, that are winning too much but aren't doing enough to get over the hump.
And when I say teams that are winning too much that won't have a high draft pick, I mean the entire NFC South.
Yeah,
I think that's all of them. They're all 6 and 7. I think the winner is going to have a losing record. The winner of that division, because someone's got to fucking win it. Anyways, we'll move on.
That division is terrible.
It's so bad. We'll move on to Week 14. Week 14, I honestly believe, was the best week of football we've had this year.
I agree.
It was exciting on so many levels. We'll start with that Thursday night. The Patriots overcame the Steelers in Pittsburgh with Bailey Zappi throwing for 3 touchdowns. There's news out there right now that Bill Belichick already knows it's over. You know?
Yeah, I've heard that rumor, yeah.
And some reporters asked him about it, and he said, I'm getting ready for Kansas City. In true Bill Belichick fashion. And that might be writing on the wall.
And honestly, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I think he's in a comfortable spot. He's kind of stale. I think a new environment will do him some good. New playmakers around him. Because he's not a bad coach.
He's not.
Him and Brady worked really well together. That's why they have 6 rings. I don't think they would have had 6 rings, each of them on their own.
No.
So he's a good coach. He could bring a locker room together if he's got the right guys that believe in him. If he talks the right stuff, I think. God, send him to the Falcons.
Said Belichick? I'm wondering if something like similar happens to the Sean Payton thing where they trade him.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, it's very, very possible. You know, if you can trade a first rounder for Bill Belichick, not a bad call. The only problem is Bill Belichick is going to command more power. You know, I think Bill would stay if they didn't. If he wasn't also the GM. You know, he's making the team, and these draft picks have been awful these past few years. So let's be very honest. N'Keal Harry, bust. Cole Strange, you could have gotten him in the 3rd, 4th round, and you pick him in the 1st, you could have gotten anyone.
Yeah.
Bill, you could have gotten anyone you wanted. Yeah. And you decided to go after Cole Strange to the point where Cole Strange didn't even think it was real. He thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
Just there's very questionable decision making, and I feel like he's coaching as if it's the 2000s anymore, and things have changed. You know, the game has changed, Bill, and he's sticking with what he knows, what he used to win with, and times are rolling, and he's not. So I would take him as a coach, but I wouldn't take him as everything that he has right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would just take him as the guy just to bring the team together. Let the GM be the GM.
Yeah. Yeah. What other games stood out to you on Week 14?
Fucking Jets and Texans. Zach Wilson played his best game that he's ever played.
Yep.
Fucking 30 points against a solid Texans team. And their defense did what I thought they would do. And then shut down Stroud. Stroud is remarkable rookie, but he played the best defense in the league right now, or the best. Yeah, I would say the best defense as a unit, and it showed it. I mean, 30-6. That was not what I expected. I expected a low-scoring game with the Jets maybe squeaking it out, or C.J. Stroud squeaking it out.
I was definitely surprised because it was 0-0 or 6-0 at halftime. Mm-hmm. Jets had no points at halftime. And they went on a tear. Granted, there was like 5 field goals. But Zach Wilson obviously had his best game, and he let it rip. He's really showing teams. I don't think he's going to be a starter next year, but he's proving that he should be somewhere.
Yeah.
All he needs is a chance.
We already talked about Flacco and the Bears and Jaguars,
Bears
and Lions.
Let's talk about your Bears beating the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, we talked about. I kind of squeezed that into the 13 because Fields snuck in there, and I was just happy we won that. But I mean, a pretty dominant win. It wasn't just a win; it was pretty dominant. I mean, if you look at, I watched some of the film that Chase Daniel broke through with Fields. Fields looked spectacular. I would go as far as that. He looked like an elite quarterback in that game. He was making the right throws, the right reads. He was checking coverages. He was moving protection. He was getting out of the pocket. He had an escape back there by the end zone that only Lamar Jackson is the only other person I can think of that gets out of that sack. Yeah. Yes, he had 1 passing touchdown, but he didn't turn the ball over, and he led 3 other touchdown drives.
Yeah.
That's what you want to see out of Fields. Past 3 games, no picks. Like I said, he's just playing smart football. His completion percentage is up. His yards are up. He just is playing solid all around. I hope he continues to do that. We're going into a tough game next week, which we'll talk more about. DJ Moore is looking like a true number 1 wide receiver. He's got over 1,000 yards, 76 catches. So, I mean, he's like averaging 12 yards a catch. He's insane. He's got 7 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. That's like 6th in the league for total. I mean, we have some good pieces. Just got gel.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Eberflus is going to be there next year, but I think he's pulling off a little bit of a Willie won't he stick around.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, I hope he doesn't. Honestly, I think you guys need an offensive head coach.
If he would take the demotion to DC, I would take that. But I don't think anybody takes a demotion in this league. He'd just move somewhere else. Because he has the defense rolling, especially after Sweat was added. Our defense has been crazy.
Yeah.
Also heard that Jalen Johnson is talking about agreeing to an extension. Rumor is that we offered him 5 years for $96 million.
Okay.
I'd
want to lock him down.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of the 5 corners that have a PFF grade of 90 plus. But last week versus Lions, he had 2 targets, 1 pick, 1 pass breakup.
Yeah, he's a shutdown corner. He's a shutdown corner, and that's what you need in this league. Every team needs one, you know?
Yeah, it was a solid game. It was a team win, for sure.
Absolutely. And then I'm going to talk about my favorite game of the entire week, and that was your Baltimore Ravens holding their own in overtime against the LA Rams in one of the games of the year this year. Truly back and forth the entire game. Matthew Stafford throws a touchdown. Lamar Jackson throws a touchdown. Lamar Jackson throws a touchdown. Matthew Stafford throws a touchdown. And they just kept going back and forth, back and forth. Obviously, our defense didn't stick up as much as we wanted them to, but it's always nice to know that your quarterback can say, you know what, you hit me there, I'll match you there. You know, and that's what we got from him. 311 yards passing, an additional 70 yards on the ground, and then finishing it off in overtime with a punt return walk-off touchdown. Thank you, Tylan Wallace. I will say it showed me more from Lamar than I've seen all year. He's stuck in the pocket, and he was delivering dots. I don't know if you saw the 3rd and 17 play. There's a 3rd and 17, very end of the game, to cash in on that touchdown to Zay Flowers. He got sacked the play before that, which wasn't really a sack, but we'll talk about it. It wasn't a sack, his knee wasn't down, but whatever. So, Zay Flowers, a lot of time passes. Zay Flowers cuts in, does a little improv route. Lamar Jackson throws the most beautiful dot I've ever seen to Zay Flowers. And then very next play, no other quarterback, and I repeat, no other quarterback can make this 2-point conversion happen. He rolls out right on a little boot. As soon as he sees some players, they're all covered up. He's making some moves. He's creating time. He gets drilled in his legs. At the same time, he delivers a fucking dot to Zay Flowers yet again. Seeing that pressure, getting hit while you're throwing, and just laying it on the money, it was absolutely beautiful. It was a work of art.
Yeah, anytime a quarterback can make an accurate dart, solid throw while getting hit, I mean, that's what you want. Yeah, I love that the punt return ended that game. It just showed the resilience of the whole team. Never wavered. I mean, got Lamar's back. Not going to do it all. You're not going to do it all. So, didn't have to put him back on the field or anything. Quick overtime. That was a really solid game. Yeah, it was very back and forth. That's what I mean by you guys are just so solid. Even when you're in shootouts with other good teams, Lamar is there matching them. That's great.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about this last game because it was a big shocker to me. Will Levis and the Titans beating the Dolphins on Monday night.
Absolutely.
The Titans defense, I mean, until Tua was given Fields less than 20 yards, had no touchdowns all night with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, Devon A-Chain. That's a crazy offense they'll go up against. And you're not talking about the Jets defense or the Chiefs defense or the Ravens defense. You're talking about the Titans, who have traded Byard, have no Clowney, I can't even name a star.
Yeah, I mean, their biggest star probably made the biggest play of the night, and that was Harold Landry.
Yeah, and
he's coming off an ACL.
Yeah, they stayed in it the whole game. Will Levis made some great plays. Made a couple of mistakes, but he had one potential. He shared the turnover with Derrick Henry, went on that hot pitch, but other than that, he protected the football, made great reads, made some insane throws to D-Hop. D-Hop also made some insane catches.
Yes, they're gelling.
But that last 5 minutes was probably the most fun football I watched this year. Absolutely fun football. I mean, the Titans really just did not give up, and that was a testament to Mike Vrabel. He really kept their guys in it. Will Levis, he looks like a leader, you know? Yeah.
And I love that about him. I really thought he was going to be kind of clowny. I thought he was going to be kind of weird, kind of fabricated. But really, every single time I see him, he's rallying his guys. He's rallying his troops, and he's saying, you know what, let's go out there, let's get a dub.
And he's not scared to take control like that because, I mean, that one clip that I saw, he was yelling at D-Hop, just run the fucking route. Like,
to D-Hop?
You're talking to a Hall of Famer wide receiver, and you just came into this league and you're yelling at this guy. It takes some cojones.
Yeah.
And I think D-Hop respected that. And I think since that, they've actually gelled really well.
Yeah.
So Titans could, I mean, what's their record?
5-8, I believe. 6 and 7.
I mean, they'd have to have a lot of things happen, like a lot of some other teams. But if they play like that,
they got some good building blocks.
They got building. They've got a good foundation. I just don't know if Vrabel is the guy.
I think Vrabel's the guy still. I'm still sold on Vrabel. Even though there are murmurs of him wanting to go back to New England because that's where he played. You know?
Yeah, I mean that'd be solid. Swap Vrabel and Belichick. He'd get his pocket passer quarterback,
right.
Stuff like that. So, I mean that was just a shocker game to me. Yeah.
I will say I don't think we can talk about this specific week without bringing up first Cowboys beat the Eagles. Cowboys are better than the Eagles. I'll say it. Second, that Bills-Chiefs game obviously had the biggest controversy of the entire week. With the offsides call, with Kadarius Toney. We just got to touch on it real quick just to make sure that we're hitting all our bases. But I'm kind of getting sick of Patrick Mahomes. I don't know why he's... Especially when after the game is over, he goes up to Josh Allen and he goes, "That's a bullshit call. I can't believe they call that." In the end of the game, how do you even do that? You know? And he's saying that to Josh Allen.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean that's unsportsmanship.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't fault him for that part necessarily because I mean that's when your emotions are the highest. Josh Allen did say he reached back out and apologized and said that it just wasn't professional of him. So I'll let him retract that one. But he stood up in that press conference and was talking about that shouldn't have been called because of the play that followed after.
Right.
Which was, like, insane.
The flag was thrown before.
Exactly. We're not just going to pick up a flag because your Hall of Fame tight end did a fucking insane pitch back for a touchdown.
Yeah.
But, I mean, people are still going to talk about that. It's not worth, because it was definitely offsides. It's just not worth being that emotional over that play. You had a whole other 59 minutes to win that game.
Yep.
And then you talk about like, oh, we should have got a warning, oh, whatever. To me, it looked like Tony checked really quick, didn't really check to make sure he was good, but he gave a thumbs up or whatever. So, I mean, there's some controversy there. Andy Reid says that they usually get a warning. But this is... I was watching the Pat McAfee, or it might have been another analyst, but this year they have called the most wide receiver offsides than the past few years.
Yeah,
so they are...
2 years ago, there was only 2 called. Last year, there's only 1 called. This year, there is now 12 called.
Yeah, which is an increase. I mean, yes, I'd like to see refs be consistent. I would just like to see things called for everybody. Like Fields takes quite a few hits after he slides, or and stuff that doesn't get called. Which I get. You're a running quarterback. They gotta be fair in those situations to defensive players too. I don't know. I just wish refs would be consistent, but I don't hate that call.
Yeah, I'm on the ref side this time. Holy shit, the Raiders are already up 13-0.
Holy shit.
Yeah, game started about 20 minutes ago. So, that's happening. But yeah, I agree. I agree with the refs right there. I mean, you're not going to pick up the call because the play was cool. Sorry. But at the same time, they're being very open about, we're calling this more, you know? I mean, it's not like the first time it's been called, but also if the Chiefs really want to get their panties in a bunch about this, I mean, there was that pass interference that wasn't called in the fucking Super Bowl. That if you really want that kind of stuff to happen every single time, it would have cost you fucking the championship last year. So, do you just want to pick and choose when these things happen, or no?
Yeah.
So here, I'm gonna see what's going on in this game, though. Not.
Is the backup running back like having a fucking day?
I have no clue. I got no clue. Let's find out together, folks. Because it's saying It just said 13-0 on DraftKings. And then I go on Google, and it said 7-0. And I go on ESPN, and it says 7-0, but it also says no scoring plays. So I have no idea what's happening.
Maybe a special teams or something.
Maybe. All right, so we'll move on to this week.
First game of the week is happening right now.
Yes.
Raiders are beating the Chargers, both 5-8, both playing with backup quarterbacks, so I'm not going to hang on that too much. I mean, Herbert is out for the rest of the season due to his finger surgery.
Yep.
Aiden O'Connell, Easton Stick, I mean, you pick the winner there, and that's who wins the game, I think. I think they both have similar defenses. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I agree. We're not going to dwell too much on this game because it's already happening, and the Raiders are already up by 2 touchdowns. So we'll move on to the Vikings at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are 3.5-point favorites. I think the Bengals probably deserve to be more with how well Jake Browning has been playing. He's put up 30 points in 2 straight games right now. Mm-hmm. And they're playing a Minnesota Vikings team who arguably has a top 10 defense.
Their defense is really solid, but, I mean, I think the Bengals have more to give them worry about. I mean, you have a pretty good wide receiving core all around. Tyler Boyd, Higgins, and then you throw in...
Jamar Chase?
Jamar Chase, that's the obvious one, but who's their... They have another pass catcher who's...
Irwin, Drew Sample.
Yeah, I mean... He could throw to anybody.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon's good out of the backfield, catching passes, running the ball.
They even got Chase Brown in there last week.
I think it's a -7 Bengals. I wouldn't take them more than that because I don't think Minnesota's just going to put up points. They only put up 3 against the Raiders.
They're putting up Nick Mullins to start, and then Jaron Hall's going to be the backup, and Josh Dobbs is the emergency quarterback.
Yeah, which I think Josh Dobbs should still be the starter. I think he's got the most experience there, but I think they're all similar quarterbacks. I don't think they're going to score a lot. I bet the Bengals could put up 30 again.
Yeah. No, I'm on the Bengals right here. I'll take them -3.5, but I don't think there's much to say. I mean, you don't even know who your quarterback is going to be by the end of halftime because they're not afraid to pull guys. And Jake Browning's putting up points. I don't think the Bengals' defense is that formidable, but when you're playing against quarterbacks like that, you don't need to be. Mm-hmm. Moving on to the next game. Pittsburgh is going to Indianapolis. Indy is -1.5 right here. I kind of agree with that. They're calling it basically a pick 'em.
Yeah.
But Gardner Minshew, he's shown a lot of good things. Ooh, the Raiders 30-yard deep shot touchdown.
Oh my God, 21-0.
Oh no, that was the same one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Pittsburgh is obviously they're starting Mitch Trubisky again, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And Gardner Minshew's been putting up decent numbers this year. I mean, you can't argue with how well he's been playing. I mean, he has the Colts in playoff position.
Yeah, I just don't think that the Steelers have good enough quarterback play. I mean, I hate dogging on my guy Trubisky because I just think if he entered the league in a better situation, he would have had a better career. But all in all, he still plays as he does, and he's not consistent. He throws too linear. It's easy to read him. I just don't. I think Indy's got an okay enough defense to confuse him, give him a hard time, and he's just not going to be able to catch up with points.
Yeah.
Steelers defense, though, could be worrisome for Indy, but I think they're going to be on the field too long.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, the Steelers, they don't know how to put up points is the thing. Mm-hmm. Even when they started putting up yards, they were scoring 16, and then I think they scored under 20 yet again. They put up 400 yards.
I mean, in
something.
11, 12 games, Pickett's only got 6 touchdowns. This dude has half a touchdown a game.
Yeah. Joe Flacco about to match him next game.
Exactly.
Kind of wild. Next game we have going on here, the Denver Broncos are going to the Detroit Lions. This is going to be a good game right here.
Yes, it is.
Detroit is 4.5-point favorites, but obviously Denver has been rolling. They had a little bit of a hiccup last week when they played someone.
Who?
Played someone last week.
Broncos played the... Broncos won last week against the Chargers. That's the game that Herbert went out. They had a hiccup against the Texans in Week 13.
That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the Broncos are still rolling. And I think they have a good enough receiving core where they can gash the Detroit Lions. This might be Russell Wilson's best game this year because I think it's going to be a shootout.
I just think the Lions struggle against mobile quarterbacks. That could be why Fields looks so great against the Lions every time he plays them. It's definitely the Broncos game to lose. To me, even though they're a couple games behind record-wise, the Lions. Lions defense just hasn't been the same over the past few weeks. I don't know if that's diminishing the morale. Goff's also been turning the ball over a lot. I think he's got 9 interceptions over the last 3-4 games.
Yeah, he's been a turnover machine as of recent.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's something he doesn't usually struggle with. So I don't know what's happening there. It's the Broncos game to lose. I don't like the spread on this game. I think it should be a pick'em.
Because this game is actually on Saturday.
Is it on Saturday? What?
Looks like we have 3 Saturday games.
What?
Vikings, Bengals, Steelers, Colts, and Broncos, Lions are all on Saturday.
Well, okay, so we've got 3 days of football.
I'll take it.
Me too. We also have the college football bowls this Saturday, right?
No, we got a full weekend of football. All right, and then I love the Lions. You guys know my allegiance to the Lions as of these past 2 years, but right now they're going through a rut, and I feel like this is the game where they need a get right game. Mm-hmm. And if they can get right here, I have way more faith in them in the playoffs because they're making the playoffs, but how well are they going to do in it? This is going to be a good test for them.
Yeah.
Next game we have, our first Sunday game, is the Atlanta Falcons going to Carolina, where the Falcons are 3-point favorites. I think Carolina is hot garbage.
I totally agree, and I hope they continue to be hot garbage just to solidify that number 1 pick. I think they need to lose one more game to clinch that.
Yeah.
So this could very well be it. I think Atlanta has the more talent, better overall team. I wouldn't go as far as saying like Ritter's better than Bryce Young. He at least is to the eye this year. But we'll see what happens. I think it could shock us and maybe he gets his second win.
Yeah. But
just like the Broncos, it is Atlanta's game to lose.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Bryce Young has been vastly underwhelming, but it's hard to say that Bryce Young isn't going to be good because he was put in the worst situation you could be in. I mean, it was clear that Frank Reich wanted C.J. Stroud. You know, he didn't believe in Bryce Young to begin with. And neither did the GM, neither did the quarterback's coach, neither did the offensive coordinator. Like, all these people wanted Stroud. And the owner said, I want Bryce Young. So they got Bryce Young. And all of a sudden, just because no one believes in him, Bryce Young is... They don't have a defense, even though the defense had the names and the star power to be good, so I don't really know what happened there. I mean, Steve Wilkes last year had that team winning games when he came in as an interim, and I think he should have kept that job.
Yeah.
But when you look at what they've done this year, I mean, when Adam Thielen is probably your best offensive player, you're not going to have a great year. So, give me the Falcons right here. I mean, I don't think Arthur Smith is going to have a job next year either, so it's kind of a toilet bowl, but someone's got to win this division, and I still think it might be the Falcons. So, yeah, give me the Falcons here. Next game, we got Tommy Cutlets going to the New Orleans Saints, where the Saints are 6-point favorites. And I think Tommy DeVito and the New York G-Men are going to pull off this upset.
So, like I said, Tommy DeVito's been playing. And so, I mean...
Anytime you say his name, you got to do this.
I would like for him to win this game. I think this will be his toughest one so far. I mean, you got a veteran quarterback and Carr on the other side with solid receivers.
I don't know. You just played the Packers that had a playoff spot.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't think they played as good of a quarterback So, I mean, I think it's up to the defense.
Do you think Derek Carr is better than Jordan Love?
Yeah.
I don't.
I just think Derek Carr against okay teams. I think he's better.
Okay.
So like Jordan Love, if I took Jordan Love versus Giants and Derek Carr versus the Giants, I would pick Derek Carr over Jordan Love.
Yeah.
And he's got arguably better weapons.
I have to agree with that. Yeah.
And then so I think it comes down to the Giants' defense in this game. I don't think DeVito has issues putting up points. I just think that the Saints could possibly put more.
Oh shit! They did score again. The Raiders are
1-0.
tearing them apart. 21-0. There was a 22-yard pass. Jacoby Myers got. Trey Tucker had a 30-yard pass, and Zamir White has a 1-yard rush.
I almost picked Jacoby Myers for a touchdown tonight too.
Yeah, he's going off. This is Aiden O'Connell, has 115 yards and 2 touchdowns already, and it is the first quarter still.
Holy shit!
Okay, there's 3 minutes left in the first quarter.
They could be benching their backups.
It could be.
In that time.
And Easton Stick is 3 for 4 for 28 yards.
So he's not playing terrible, but it just seems like they're not stretching the field with him. So
yeah. I like. The Saints have been so fucking
lackluster.
Yeah. they're really just a milquetoast offense right now.
Yeah.
I'm not thrilled. I really had high hopes for the Saints too. You'll look back on our earlier videos. I thought they were gonna win the fucking conference with how easy their conference was. Mm-hmm. If you looked at their schedule beforehand, you would have thought the Texans would have won the AFC if they had that same schedule. Like, it's ridiculous. But no, they couldn't show up. Next game we have here is my most anticipated game this week. Second most anticipated. Third. It's a highly anticipated game. The Chicago Bears traveling to Cleveland to face Joe Flacco and the Browns. Now, Joe Flacco and the Browns are 3-point favorites in this game. How you feeling?
I don't know how to feel. Because obviously the Browns have a really good defense. They have Myles Garrett on the other side.
Yeah.
And our O-line is mid-pack. I'm hoping for a close game. I'm thinking it's going to be closer than people think just because Broncos are dealing with some injuries. I think their tackle is injured, and we've got Montez Sweat going to go up against their backup. Maybe he could create some pressure for Joe Flacco. We are also dealing with some injuries, though, too. DJ Moore's ankle is iffy, but, I mean, I could probably guarantee he'll play.
Yeah.
Unique Ngakoue, our second best pass rusher, is out for the season with a broken ankle. Jaquan Brisker is questionable. That dude had 17 tackles last game.
Yeah.
That was insane.
And a forced fumble. I think defense is playing really well. I think they could give Flacco some pressure. Oh my god, it's so hard. I want to pick my Bears because I'm biased. So I'll pick them.
All right, be a homer. I'm going to be a homer, too. I'm going to pick Joe Flacco. I mean, I still have such a soft spot in my heart for this man. But also, he's playing really good football. He did have quite a few big plays, which inflated his stats a little bit. His gameplay wasn't as neat and pure as you would like to see, but he's just a game manager right now. He just has to not lose the game for the Browns. Mm-hmm. And if he can do that, he'll take them to the playoffs. And I think they will be in the playoffs. That being said, the Chicago Bears, they're playing kind of out of their minds right now. They should not be winning games that they are winning. They played Detroit last week, and they beat Detroit handily. And I feel like this is going to be a very close game. I like the spread at 3 points. But I think Flacco, he's just going to score just enough points. And that's exciting. Next game right here, we have the Jets going to the Dolphins, where the Dolphins are 9.5-point favorites. I'm going to take the Jets here. Not to win, to cover.
What was the spread again?
9.5.
9.5. Yeah.
I mean, they just played the Titans, and that spread was 10.5, and they lost flat out.
Texans.
Titans.
Oh, Dolphins. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
And the Jets just scored 30 points. Give me some respect.
If Zach Wilson can stay on this seat where he's at now, if he can put up 20 points, I think they could win. Defense is just too good. They're locking every quarterback down, it seems like. There's only like 2 games that I think they got 20 plus on. So, I mean, Jets can definitely take this away. I like plus 9.5.
Yeah. I will say Tyreek Hill, he was a little up and down this last game, health-wise. Obviously, there was a hip drop tackle that took him out of the game for a little bit of it, and I believe that is going to be reviewed in the offseason to see if we're banning that. Obviously, it's what took out Mark Andrews for not the entire season. We're hoping to get him back for the playoffs, but it's been taking out players left and right this year, and I believe that's something that the league is going to look at in the offseason. That being said, I do think the Jets just have the defensive capabilities to slow down this Dolphins offense. If the Titans can do it, they can look at what the Titans did and break this down and say, hey, if we get Tyreek Hill locked up, no one else can get that open. You know, and that's very true. No one else can get that open on that offense.
And they've got the corner and safety to do it.
They do. They absolutely do. So it really is just going to come down to Zach Wilson, and that's the scariest part. Betting on Zach Wilson is a scary fucking thing.
Yep, because you never know what you're going to get. But if you can get what you got last week, they could win this game.
I agree. We got the Kansas City Chiefs going to New England, and this game doesn't even seem fair. Kansas City's only 7.5-point favorites, and I really think they're going to win by like 14 points.
I don't think so, only because I don't think their playmakers are they're not reliable. I know
they're not, but New England doesn't have any playmakers.
I know, but they held Justin Herbert to 6 points.
Justin Herbert, they haven't been that good this year, let's be honest.
It could also be his hand or his finger, too. But, I mean, it could very well be a complete freaking blowout. But I wouldn't take too far off a too high spread on this one just because, I mean, Chiefs just don't look the same this year.
They don't look the same. I will say, before last week, the New England Patriots scored 10 or less points 3 weeks straight. And then they scored 21 against the Steelers, right?
I need to see Malik Cunningham.
Well, Malik Cunningham, he's on the Ravens.
Yeah.
Ooh. But I will say, the Patriots, before last week, they scored 10 or less points in 3 straight weeks, right? Are you saying the Chiefs won't score 20 points? I think they scored 20 points.
I say they could, but
I can see
Zappy could put up 14.
Yeah, but he's not playing the Steelers this week. He's playing the Chiefs, who have a top 5 defense.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm going to take the Chiefs right here pretty handily. I'm not even worried about it. That's my money lock.
I don't want to bet against high spread because that doesn't work out for me.
I got the Houston Texans right here going to the Tennessee Titans. Davis Mills starting in this game, and the Titans are 3-point favorites now that Davis Mills is in.
And I'm going to take that. I think Will Levis has got a little chip on his shoulder. He's playing good ball. I mean, Derrick Henry and Spears is a good duo. Derrick Henry's still a killer in the red zone. If you hit it to him inside the 5, it's probably a guaranteed touchdown.
Yeah.
Their defense, if they could play like they did last week, if they don't turn the ball over on special teams, this could be a handed win by the Titans. Just because, you don't know what you'll get out of Davis.
I think the biggest thing for me is if Davis, obviously it's Davis playing, right? But keep in mind that Tank Dell's out for the season.
Mm-hmm.
Nico Collins just went down.
Oh, did he? Dang, I didn't even know that.
And Noah Brown's out.
Yeah, I mean, that's
that's
1, 2, and 3 receivers.
Their top 3 receivers are all gone. And then count the fact that they don't have a wide receiver core, and then they're playing their backup. I think Titans are going to roll.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, give me the Tennessee Titans right here, -3. Moving on to the Buccaneers going to Green Bay. The Buccaneers are 3.5-point underdogs.
The Bucs are underdogs. I mean, I get it because, despite Love's loss last week, he's still playing good football. I mean, he's got, 20-plus passing touchdowns. He's not turning it over too much. But I think you get a few good games out of him. Then he kind of goes on this little stint where he's not playing his best, and then you get a few good games out of him, and then he comes back a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's what you kind of saw against the Giants. Bucks don't have a bad defense, so I think they could confuse him a little bit. He's still young. It's still his first season. I think Baker Mayfield's still got the better weapons.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he's got, I guess, more experience. I wouldn't say he's light years ahead of Love or anything, or I wouldn't even say I'd say he's about the same.
Yeah.
So it could be a pick 'em very well. I'll take the Bucks plus 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would still go with the Packers right here. I would take the Bucks plus the 3.5. Or I would take... Ooh. No, I would take the Packers minus 3.5. I like that hook. Because... No, I'd take the Bucks plus 3.5 because I think they'll lose by 3. But give me the Packers just because Jordan Love, like, I think his receivers have done an amazing job this year because you got to remember, they're all first or second year wide receivers.
Yeah.
You know, they're all extremely, extremely young wide receivers, and they're learning as Jordan Love learns.
Right.
You know, Aaron Jones has been a little lackluster, and so has A.J. Dillon, as he has been his entire career. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they are losing games that they should win, and they are keeping in games that they shouldn't. And this just seems like two kind of equal teams right now, but one of them has a winning pedigree and one of them doesn't.
Yeah.
And I believe the Packers do, specifically because of Matt LaFleur. I think Matt LaFleur is doing his best coaching job of his career right now.
Another Shanahan tree.
Yeah. Yeah, Shanahan tree is growing strong.
Gosh.
But Baker Mayfield, he's too hot and cold for me.
Yeah.
As much as I think the guy is a good guy, and I like to see his arc, I just don't think that he's going to be there next year. I don't think he's going to be a starter next year, and I don't think he should be. Yeah, give me the Packers. All right, I will move on to the next game. San Francisco 49ers going to the Cardinals.
I'm not even going to waste my time. I'll take 49ers at whatever they got.
Minus 12.
Yep.
You said, yep. I could have said minus 22. Yep.
I probably wouldn't go that high. I'd probably go as high as 17. I just don't. That defense is. It's gonna get shit on. It's gonna be a huge loss for them.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for this game just to see how bad the 49ers kill them.
Yeah. I would say that one thing that I'm looking forward to seeing in this game is how Kyler Murray looks after coming back against a very good defense. I mean, it's like his third or fourth game since coming back.
And they beat the Steelers.
Yeah.
You know, like they've had decent games.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I'm not even going to waste my time on this game. I'm also going with the 49ers. Next game, we have the Washington Commanders going to the LA Rams. Commanders are 6.5-point underdogs. I think this is...
I take them at 6.5.
I don't know if I would. The Rams are playing really good ball right now.
Yeah. I just think in situations where you don't expect Howell to show anything or whatever, or you think the Commanders are out, he finds some way to put up points. I mean, they put up 30 plus against the Eagles both times.
Yeah.
Those are really good offenses with lackluster defenses who have a stacked defensive roster. I mean, the Eagles just let up a lot of points, but the Rams are also letting up a lot of points. I mean, they let up, I think, 30 in their last 2 games. So, I mean, I think Hal could put up 21. I think 24-21.
24-21?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Rams are going to kind of put them out of their misery, honestly.
Yeah.
Stafford's been on a tear recently. Cooper Kupp's looking like Cooper Kupp. Puka Nakua's making unreal catches. Their defense is really gelling. Their defense has done a lot of good stuff. They have probably one of the best rookie linebackers of this entire draft. As well as they got a pretty good safety duo, and then Aaron Donald you can never count out.
Yeah. You can't count him out.
And with Aaron Donald going against the worst offensive line in football.
Yeah, he's going to have himself a day for sure.
But also, the Commanders have the worst secondary, and they got to go up against 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers. And
God, you're making your case.
You're like,
I'm
actually.
because I'm like, shit, Manuel Forbes is over there. I'm like, oh, fuck, he got burned multiple times this season.
Yep. So I'm gonna go with the Rams right here. You want to change it?
Yeah, I won't take them at 6.5. I could take the Commander. I don't think they win or lose by more than 14, but I think it's a handedly win.
Yeah. All right. Next game we have here, the last 3:00 game, is the Dallas Cowboys going to Buffalo. Buffalo is 2-point favorites.
What? I mean, they had a good game against the Chiefs. I mean, they always have a good game. I just think the Cowboys are playing too good right now.
I'm surprised by the favorites.
I'm gonna take the Cowboys just because I'm gonna take Cowboys spread. They're underdogs. I'll take because I think they're gonna win this game. Dak Prescott's just playing his best football. I think Pollard can get a little something going. We're getting in the end of December football, January football. That's when you want to lean on your running game. Defense just needs to step it up, not let up so many points because you're going up against a stellar offense. I mean, but they also they got Deron Bland, who's got 5 interception touchdowns, 7 picks. Josh Allen leads the league in turnovers, so I mean they've got something going there for their defense.
Yeah.
But Cowboys, yep.
Yeah, I'm going Cowboys right here too. I mean, obviously the Bills have had kind of lightning in a bottle these past few weeks, and I do think this is a big statement game for the Buffalo Bills. Say they do win this game, is Josh Allen now your favorite for MVP? He has. Hear me out. He's near the top of the lead in touchdowns. Mm-hmm. Even though he has all the turnovers, he would take down the Dallas Cowboys, who is the other MVP frontrunner, and all of a sudden, they're in playoff position. You know? And I called for them to miss the playoffs in the beginning of the year, and while I felt like a genius 3 weeks ago, I'm kind of getting a little nervous about that just because of how well they've been playing these past 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And
I could see Josh Allen sneaking into the front runner there if Dak Prescott also has a bad game.
Yeah.
But if they both have good games and the Cowboys still lose, I don't think he sneaks up there.
Yeah. I'm still going to take the Cowboys here, though. I have way more faith in them. They have a more complete team. Because the Buffalo Bills, they need Josh Allen to be Superman to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Dak Prescott, they have other places to lean on, but they need Josh Allen to be Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to bet on the more complete team. Now, going to Sunday Night Football, we got the Baltimore Ravens going to Jacksonville. The Ravens are 3.5-point favorites.
You want to take this one first?
Yeah, I'll start. So I firmly believe that the Ravens will win this game. For no other reason, but we're rolling right now. We're playing, granted, a very tough team in Jacksonville. Last year we played Jacksonville in Jacksonville, and it did not go well for us because Trevor Lawrence decided to go for 2 to win the game, and they got it. And it was the saddest day of my life. And Justin Tucker tried to hit like a 69-yard field goal, and it came up a foot short, and it was the saddest day ever. That being said, Baltimore Ravens have everything that Jacksonville is lacking right now. First and foremost, a run game that can gash their defense, who is not a great rush defense. Jacksonville primarily works off of turnovers. Lamar Jackson, since the beginning of the season, Lamar had quite a few turnovers. Now he is very comfortable in the offense that he has produced, and their turnovers have gone way down. I believe he has 1 pick the past 2 weeks, 1 pick each past 2 weeks. I can live with 1 pick, right? And I believe that pick was overthrown, and Akello had it, and it was a close ball. Anyways, the Ravens just have the defensive line to get through and make Trevor Lawrence have a bad day. He's still dealing with that high ankle sprain, but on top of that, Christian Kirk, I believe, is still out.
Mm-hmm. He's an injured reserve.
Yep. Yeah. So they just have Calvin Ridley, who I believe is also banged up, and Evan Ingram, who I believe is also banged up, and
Zay Jones.
And
he's not super.
He's not a star.
Yeah.
So I believe we have the defense to keep them in check. I believe we have the offense to take over. It's just a weird place to play. Jacksonville, every time you go to Florida and play a game, things get weird. How many times have the Tom Brady-led Patriots gone into fucking Miami and lost?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff happens. So this game does worry me a bit, but I believe that we can pull it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing another shootout maybe. It just kind of depends on what version of Lawrence you get, because I think he's still kind of mid. I mean, he's just not.
You don't like Lawrence, do you?
I like Lawrence. I think he's a good quarterback. He just got.
You call him mid every time you get the chance.
He just is playing that way because I just want the same treatment for him that people are giving Fields, because they have very similar numbers. But Lawrence is beating him in passing yards and passing touchdowns. He's got 35 interceptions to Fields' 27. It's 52 touchdowns to Fields' 35. But he's played 52 games versus Fields' 36. So, I mean, they're kind of similar. But Fields has the athletic ability to add 1,000 yards on a ground or 500 to 600 a season. So that's why when I get the chance, I kind of dog on him a little bit, because he was generational talent, and we're looking to draft generational talent. So,
but how many times has generational talent actually won out? You know, John Elway, Peyton Manning. You know, like these kind of guys that, hey, they're gonna be number 1 overall for sure. You know, Andrew Luck, for example. Like, it works out.
Here, let me read this to you real quick. It is a Twitter post that I put on here the other day about number 1 overall picks.
All right. Well, I'll keep talking while you're finding that. So some more things about the Baltimore Ravens. Last week, Tylan Wallace obviously scored that punt return to win the game. Tylan Wallace will continue to be our kick returner, punt returner this week, as we have put Devin Duvernay on IR. Unfortunately, he did hurt himself in practice. On top of that, keep in mind that the Ravens have scored over 30 points in quite a few straight games, aside from the Chargers game where we scored 20.
Yeah.
So while we're looking at that, can the Jacksonville Jaguars score 30 points with the players that they have? That's going to be a tough stretch. But also, we're doing that without Mark Andrews. We're using Isaiah Likely, who last week had
a crazy play,
55-yard touchdown last week. I mean, he was constant.
Open.
Yeah, so I'm extremely excited about these young players getting their chance to develop. Odell Beckham's looking like Odell again. I mean, it's an exciting time in Baltimore. It gets me pumped. Did you have your
post? But just for this game, I think it's going to be a shootout like you guys had last week, depending on what version of Lawrence you get. There's no holes in your guys' defense. No. Great linebackers, great safeties, great corners, great D-line. That's why I think you guys sneak this out. Offensive shootout maybe. Defensive wins the games. But if we're looking at the last 14 number 1 overall QBs, you got Bryce Young, 1-10, Trevor Lawrence, 20-27, Joe Burrow, 29-22, Kyler Murray, 27-33, Mayfield, 39-46, Goff, 63-49, Winston, 44-54, Luck, 53-33, Newton, 76-71, Bradford, 34-48, Stafford, 95-107, Jamarcus Russell, 9-22, Alex Smith, 173, Eli Manning, 118-118. So as a collective, out of the last 14 number 1 QBs, 3 Super Bowls, 2 came from Eli, 1 came from Stafford in 2022, like his 16th season. Only 3 QBs with a winning record, 4, Burrow, Goff, Luck, and Cam Newton, and only 5 conference championships appearances outside of the 3 required to win a Super Bowl.
Okay, but
that's crazy to think. And then so it's just Lawrence gets too much love. Fields doesn't get enough. I could say the same for some other quarterbacks out there that are still in their first couple of years that are just getting hated on.
I think it comes down to is first overall generational, you know?
Yeah.
Because when you name those, I heard 1 or 2 quarterbacks that were generational. You know, Luck was the generational prototype quarterback for that, and he was a home run. They just never protected him.
Yeah, he injured out.
Yeah, which sucks.
Yeah.
And Luck, I love you to death, and I wish you were still playing.
Yeah, I wish he was still playing. He'd still be playing right now.
Yeah,
That's crazy. But Lawrence, he's a good quarterback. I think he's going to be better. He could be better. I would say he'll be better than Fields as an overall pocket passer.
Yeah.
Maybe he might have more allocades. But I just want to put in perspective on, like, not all these quarterbacks that are expected to be great, not even generational, but we're expected to do something. Only 4 out of the last 14 have a winning record. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. I mean, you guys might as well just draft all 3 top quarterbacks.
Dude, for real, just take a chance.
One of them's got to be good.
Yeah.
One of them can throw a fucking 8-yard curl route that he keeps fucking calling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we'll move on to our last game of the week. Philadelphia Eagles going to Seattle. Philly is 3-point favorites. Obviously, you get 3 points from being at home, so they're basically calling this game a pick'em too, which is interesting. Seattle, I don't think we even know who their quarterback's going to be. It might be Drew Lock again.
And they didn't play that great with Drew Lock.
Yeah.
If it's Drew Lock, I think the Eagles handily win this game. If it's Geno Smith, who's a pretty decent game manager, Seattle could sneak this out. I mean, Jalen Hurts, I think, is 3rd or 4th in the league in turnovers, so he's not, and he's like 10th in the league for touchdowns. I mean, outside of his 1-yard freaking guarantees, but
right.
He's not playing his best football. And I saw a quote from A.J. Brown saying that their offense is just too predictable.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think Seattle has a good enough defense to see predictable, and they could make it a close game.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the Eagles have a better roster. I'll take their roster over Seattle's any day of the week and twice on this Monday. And I am taking the Eagles to win this game and cover the 3 points. Seattle just, like I said before, they're a pumpkin, kind of rolling, and they're getting a little rotten. And they were a great story for the beginning of this season. They were a great story last year, you know. But stories don't pay the bills, you know. Like you got to nut up or shut up. And it might be time Pete Carroll takes a step back. Geno Smith, I mean, I was kind of calling for them to draft Anthony Richardson in the beginning of this year. And I know Richardson got taken the pick before them. I wanted them to trade up. I wanted them to do everything they could because they had the roster to do it. And even though they had Geno, now you know what you could have gotten out of someone that was even better than Geno.
Yeah,
And they're very similar play styles too. So Geno would have been a good teacher for him. I would have liked that too.
Yeah. But unfortunately, Seattle right now, they're just kind of hitting the stride of not doing enough. Granted, 2 weeks ago, they had a great game against the Dallas Cowboys, which gives me hope for this game right here. But the Eagles' defense is just so good. But on top of that, their defensive line is just so good. And the Seahawks' offensive line, unfortunately, is not. Which is my biggest reason for picking the Philadelphia Eagles, because they're going to be pressuring whoever the quarterback is this entire evening.
Exactly. If they didn't have the defensive line that they had, if they had a mid defensive line, they could easily be 8-5.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they already still give up 25 points a game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like the Eagles. I'll take them -3, but I think it could be close if Geno's playing.
I agree. But that wraps up Week 15 of the NFL. Gosh, can you believe it's already Week 15?
No. Only 4 more weeks of football. We are in...
Yeah, we're in the home stretch.
Yep, we're in the home stretch the last month. We're coming to January where shit gets fucking real.
Fucking
real, dude.
Playoff football is the best. I fucking can't wait for it. Gosh, it's going to be such a great year.
I can't wait either.
I will say it's the most, even though it's a little watered down, it's the most competitive year I've seen.
It does feel that way, yeah. And I feel like everybody's playing like they've got something to prove, no matter who it is, no matter how bad they are. No, they're not. People aren't letting it get to them. It seems like.
Well, I was thinking about this the other day, and you remember how it was not this year, but it was last year when everyone in the AFC West was going out and getting player after player after player, and then we already had the Ravens, we already had the Bengals, we already had the Bills, we already had the Chiefs, we already had all these other big powerhouses, and everyone thought the AFC was just going to tear themselves apart. We just predicted it a year too early. It's happening this year.
Yeah.
But the big story was 2 years ago. But it's happening this year. But instead of everyone being so dominant, everyone is just playing kind of mid.
Yeah.
You know. So we're having the same story that we were talking about, but unfortunately, it's just it's not looking at how we predicted it to look. I will say the NFC though. I mean, I think they have the top players. I mean, the 49ers, the Eagles, and the Cowboys. But aside from that,
Yeah, I mean, no team in the league right now is better than 10-3.
no.
And then you've got at least 6 teams in each division that are floating around 7-6, 6-7.
Yeah.
Conference. So I mean, very competitive season of football. I'm excited what January brings. See who sneaks in. See who gets knocked out.
Yeah. See what quarterback gets knocked out, because apparently half the league is backups.
Yeah, half the league.
How many backups do we have right now? Hold on. So we've got Will Levis playing, technically a backup. Gardner Minshew, Easton Stick, Davis Mills, Aiden O'Connell, Zach Wilson, technically. Bailey Zappi.
8 for Steelers.
Yeah.
9 for Browns.
10 for Bengals. We had Tyson Bagent out there.
11.
11.
12.
12. 13 for most of the season.
14.
Dobbs.
14. Almost
14.
half the
Tyler
league.
Heineke was in there for a while, you know?
Yeah, I mean, half the league had saw a backup quarterback at some point this season, because you have some that have starters back, but very competitive still, with all that being said.
Nothing compared to the Browns. They have 4 wins from 4 different quarterbacks this year. Deshaun Watson, PJ Walker, DTR, and Joe Flacco.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's
Kevin Stefanski, Coach of the Year.
Coaching. Yeah, that's good coaching, good defense. Coach of the Year, he's got my pick. I don't have any other news burning. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or X. All other social medias at the Audible Podcast. We will see you next time.